Yo, here we are. Welcome everyone to the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. Yo, today is all things boxing, okay? All things, all the time, all the boxing in the world, man. We are going to talk today specifically about all the amazing cards that are this weekend, and we have two of the biggest fight cards of the year. We have the proverbial number one pound for pound fighter in the world, Vasily Lomachenko, going out there against his toughest test to date in TIOFIMO Lopez. And we also have Tank Davis fighting against his toughest test to date, and that is Leo Santa Cruz, the former champion, Leo Santa Cruz. Both fights should be amazing. And who else should I bring on to talk about this amazing event? Come on, people. You know who I'm going to bring on. No other than the guru himself, my boxing expert, the guru, Camm. Brother, what it do, man? Welcome to the Fight Podcast.
My guy, man. I love the way you introduced me. I'm getting ready to get my intro music, my LeBron, shout out to LeBron, in his ring. But I appreciate you having me. I know nowadays you making me wait for these boxing episodes, but we gonna make it happen. All things boxing today. Maybe we sprinkle in a little MMA because I know I gotta make sure they get their touch.
A little bit.
They gotta get a little bit too. But today, yes, like you said, it is all about boxing. We got a lot to talk about, as Sergio mentioned, and I'm excited. This in particular is a huge weekend. I know. You don't want to get into it yet. How are you doing? I know you asked me how I'm doing. How are you doing, my guy?
I do appreciate you, my brother. I'm doing well, man. How can I be bad? My Lakers won.
Oh wow.
We got that chip.
Oh wow.
And I'm excited, man. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing, I still don't understand what is going on with all these LeBron haters. Can you let the man live? Come on, man.
People have always loved to hate LeBron. And we spoke about it a little bit earlier this week. I completely think it has to do with the fact that LeBron came up fully in the social media era. Like there's no angry rants about Jordan back in the day because motherfuckers wasn't on Instagram. They weren't even on MySpace. They were on Black Planet, maybe.
Bro, they weren't even on Black Planet.
and that's just not what they were spending their time doing. But nowadays, it's like you go viral for tearing a motherfucker down. So people love to hate on LeBron. And the fact that people I think our generation is, first of all, my generation, a little bit of yours, but my generation, we didn't necessarily get to see Jordan when he was losing. True. So we only ever saw Jordan win. And so people in my generation are extremely defensive of their own Michael Jordan. So the fact that you get on shows like First Take and fuck it, you in the barbershop and people even try to put LeBron James in the same conversation as Michael Jordan, that just doesn't fly well with people in my generation. Whereas someone like myself, I don't like the LeBron hate because I'm into basketball, but not enough to have an educated debate on who's better, MJ or LeBron. However, what I do know is I do respect LeBron's activism in the community, and that was not Michael Jordan. So if nothing else, that needs to be recognized as part of his greatness, because you recognize that as part of Muhammad Ali's greatness. But when we talk about basketball, it's not necessarily there.
There it is. Look, I agree with
you. We dropping mics.
There it is, man. Look, I agree with you 100%. And this is one thing I'll say about this. You sent me. You privied me to some information, a little video. Well, somebody dropped some knowledge, and you know what?
Nick Young. Was that Nick Young?
Nick Young. It was. Off of Fox. Man, look, the thing about it, and they made a great point, is that think about this, man. We do not talk about we make it seem like Michael Jordan played 6 years. It's like he played.
Nicholas Wright.
Yeah, Nick. Yeah, not Swaggy P.
Get him man his props.
But he made a great point, man. He went out there. He legitimately said that at the end of the day, no one talks about what Mike did wrong. And check it out, man. Yes, he won 6 titles, but let's keep it a beam. He ain't made it to 10, and he took a whole lot of L's. So, and I say that being a Bulls fan. I say that being a Jordan guy because, yes, I was there. I saw it. Now, don't get it twisted. Do I really remember the first 3-peat? Not really. Not that much. Fam, I was born in 86. They won their first chip in 90. I don't remember basketball too much, but I do remember like the last ones. I remember a little bit of Portland. I don't remember when they beat the Lakers. I remember a little bit of Portland. I definitely remember Phoenix, and then absolutely remember the last three. But you know what I also remember? I also remember when he got washed up with the Wizards, and we act like that never happened.
I mean, we'll give that to him because he was old.
I don't give a damn. He played.
Well, but if all you ever know is the winning Mike, and that's his one old washed season, and you have really no recollection of Mike when he wasn't winning in the playoffs, then you can just piss away that old season and chalk it up to old age.
You can. You absolutely can, but it's not fair. And like I said, I want my man to get his damn respect. Okay? Why can't my man get his respect? And yo, he put on a show those last few games.
And just so everybody knows, and I don't know how people wouldn't know, but Sergio is a true Chicago native. I'm not just speaking to anyone. Like, this is someone that was there, that is a huge Jordan fan. Now he has relocated to somewhere else where he chooses to root for the Lakers and LeBron and all types of identity crisis.
No. Hey, look here. Wait. I was a Heat fan too. And just like Shannon said, I'm not a Heat fan. I'm a wherever he at fan.
I get it. That's how it was about Randy Moss. It is what it is for some people.
Oh, and yo, 1000%. I was with you with Randy Moss also. Exactly the same way. Randy was my guy. And that's when I played. That's when I actually watched football. So look, I digress. All right, but look, people didn't come here to listen to our basketball takes. They came here to listen to our fight takes and probably a little bit of our music and culture. Because you know what? NBA, that's culture. I have to say, so fuck it. It rocks with the crowd, you know? But let's go ahead and talk about this, man. This upcoming weekend, we have some of the biggest fights of the boxing year. These are fights that we have been waiting for. These are the type of matchups that you and I, over the last year or so, we've talked about. These are the type of matchups that we want. We want the best fighting the best, and that is what we're getting this weekend. We have not one, but two title fights. Two different organizations, but two badass fights that I cannot wait for. We have Lomachenko against TIOFIMO LOPEZ. And before we talk about the other fights and everything else, let's go ahead and start right there. This weekend, we have the proverbial number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He's been both of our number ones before. Right now, I think we both have him around number two. But with a big win this weekend, he can jump right back into number one. We are talking about the magician, the Matrix, Vasily Lomachenko. And he is going out there and competing against one of the destroyers. Somebody that you and I have so much respect for, TIOFIMO LOPEZ. This fight is going to be incredible, but watching everything going up and watching all the breakdowns and everything, I have to ask you this, B. Who do you believe has more pressure on them leading up to this fight? Is it Loma or is it TIOFIMO?
Oh, I think, first of all, I want to say that I'm an MMA fan, but not like you. And, we're talking about boxing. We're not talking about MMA.
Yes.
So often when it comes to boxing, we're talking about events like Mayweather-Pacquiao, where it just happens a little bit too late. So few times do we get the opportunity to say that it happened. But not only that it happened when we wanted it to happen. And that's what happened. That's what's happening right now with TIOFIMO LOPEZ versus Vasily Lomachenko. Now, obviously a huge fight this weekend. I think Lomachenko is the clear favorite. I think he's a 3-1 betting favorite at this point. So he's a clear favorite for this fight. He's the more established fighter. Like you said, the proverbial pound for pound king in the world. So, I mean, he is the top guy right now. TIOFIMO LOPEZ is the young guy. He's somewhat proven, but he's not really proven, but he has the skills. He has the looks. He can talk a good game. So, but I think that guy has way less pressure on him. When you're number one, there's always a target on your back. That's just how it is.
Heavy is the head, huh?
Heavy is the head that holds the crown. So I absolutely feel as though Lomachenko has more pressure on him because he's the established fighter. So people expect him to go out there and be Lomachenko and do what you do and destroy other giants. That's the pressure. TIOFIMO LOPEZ, if he loses, if he gets knocked out, if he loses a competitive fight, obviously if he wins, but like his losing scenarios don't really hurt him as bad as long as he comes back and continues his career.
True.
Like if he comes back and moves to 140.
Really quick, if he does, because I see what you're saying, and I really do. I think that the bigger name always ends up having a little bit more pressure, but I think that this fight is extremely unique because a lot of people, a lot of casuals even, really believe that TIOFIMO is going to win this fight. I'm hearing big names in the sport. I'm hearing Tyson Fury. I'm hearing, a whole bunch of other litany of names saying that this is a pick'em fight. This should be a pick'em fight. With the type of shit talk that Papa Fimo is talking, don't you think that's putting a little bit extra pressure on TIOFIMO? Do you think that might kind of sway it or even it out?
I mean, we'll talk about Lomachenko and we'll see how he matches up against a guy like TIOFIMO Lopez because he's used to this. He's seen it in the amateurs. He has almost 400 fights. Well, I'll go a similar answer when it comes to TIOFIMO and his father. Shit, his father always been his trainer. So this is really nothing new for him. His father's been talking shit. He's in the same class with an Angel Garcia. And those guys are just used to it. Their relationship with their father has boxing at its core, and so they
very great comparison. That is a good comparison. Danny Garcia's father, Angel Garcia, for those who do not know, is a very similar character.
So similar. They're both Hispanic. And Angel Garcia, he's just a big personality. But I mean, it really doesn't matter if Danny Garcia loses. You just have to keep that same energy. So as long as his father is going to keep that same energy going forward, an L won't really hurt him, regardless of what his father is saying. And his father has done this before. We remember his father said, hey, we're going to get an early knockout against Richard Comey. The thing is, his father been right. Richard Comey still ain't wake up.
Nope. Hey, but little Asian dude, the Japanese dude didn't go anywhere and almost won that fight.
I'm just
saying in terms of the way we look at it, yes, he definitely lost, but it was a far more competitive fight than I think a lot of us, even ourselves, anticipated. Now, let me ask you this before we keep going with this one. What do you think the biggest storylines of this specific matchup are? Because there's so many. If you looked at any of the lead up to the fight, a lot of things that they're talking about how, for instance, the relationship between TIOFIMO and his father is a little strayed. They have, is Lomachenko a little over the hill? Is it too late for him to be that big name? For yourself, what do you believe is actually the biggest storyline going into this weekend's matchup?
Honestly, fuck the casual storylines. Fuck the father son shit. Who is king of the hill? Who is king of the hill? I need to know. And to be king of the hill, you have to beat Lomachenko. That's my storyline. You have this cool stuff that they're going to promote with shoulder programming to try to bring the casual fans in. Oh, a father-son matchup and a father-son matchup. Fuck that. Show me what's going on in that ring. Who is king of the hill? And I think that's the biggest storyline headed into the fight. It'll be cool to hear some of the other storylines they talked about, but this, large in part, is for king of the hill, and that matters.
Absolutely. It absolutely matters. It matters. This fight, and I'm going to talk about this actually after we talk about our next fights as well, but this fight, man, it is one of those that we really will find out a lot. We're going to know a couple things. We're going to find out how good TIOFIMO Lopez is. Is it going to be, holy shit, this dude is an elite, he's a pound for pound talent? Or is it going to be, yo, man, Loma is who we thought he was? A legend. Do you know what I mean? So this is one of those fights that there's so many implications coming up to this fight, and it's exciting, man. And it's exciting. And speaking of excitement, bro, what is your excitement level for this event? And then after we talk about that a little bit, bro, it is going to be prediction time. We have to talk about how we believe this matchup is actually going to go. And I am telling you, fam, I'm excited. So go ahead. The floor is yours, my brother. Please, what is your excitement level for this fight?
I already touched on it. I think my excitement level for this fight has to be a 12. Vasily Lomachenko, just the adversity that he's chosen to take on throughout his career, whether he's healthy or not, is so admirable for a guy like me. So he's one of my favorite fighters. He has not fought in over a year due to COVID. So I'm deprived of watching Vasily Lomachenko fight. And if you're a huge fight fan, you understand the idea that watching Vasily Lomachenko fight is purely poetry in motion. It's really fun to watch. It's a fighting style that it's not common. It's a pressure defense because he's very defensive, very responsible, but he's a pressure fighter at the same time. So it's really, really excited to watch him fight. He's probably my favorite boxer to watch fight. Definitely in my top 5 with guys like Errol Spence and Canelo. But the fact that I haven't seen him in so long, and then the fact that he's fighting for what seems to be, it's kind of confusing depending on the day it is for the WBC, but it feels like it's for the undisputed championship.
It is.
Lightweight championship.
Know it is.
And so
what it is.
Undisputed fights don't happen that often. And they don't happen that often. So the fact that it's Vasily Lomachenko, it's an undisputed fight. And then we've been watching TIOFIMO LOPEZ. We're not casual fans. We've been watching this guy. We saw Mason Menard. We saw Diego Magdaleno. So we've seen those highlight reel knockouts happen. So we like TIOFIMO LOPEZ too. I'm Honduran. He's Honduran. He's from New York. I'm from New York. I have every reason to like this guy. I am a big fan of TIOFIMO LOPEZ. So you have 2 of my favorite fighters fighting at the same time for the undisputed lightweight championship. 12 of 10. I am excited for this fight.
I love
it.
You should be. I love. You know what, bro? I can't argue with you, man. This fight is a fight that you and I have discussed for at least a year. I'd say over a year at this point in time. I think there's a lot. Everything is kind of leading towards this. I'm with you. I mean, this is a 12 out of 10. This is a fight. And this is one of the things that I always go back, especially when big fights. Obviously, I watch fights all the time, but I always go back week of the fights, and I always go through and I look at fights, and I take them with a fine tooth comb, and I watch a number, at least 3 to 5 fights, leading up to the matches of each fighter. I've always done that, and it just gives me a little bit of a feeling, and seeing even the growth. And again, that's one thing that you can see with a lot of fighters, especially from fight to fight, is the growth and the development throughout, right? One thing that I get, and I love that you said this, is when you watch Vasily Lomachenko, it is poetry. The way that he fights is the reason why I love martial arts. He's an artist out there. This is the exact same reason why I love watching Israel Adesanya out there. He's an artist out there. He goes out there and he is painting a masterpiece. And when you're able to go out there and see somebody with the IQ, but also that killer instinct and that dog, come on, son. Like, this is a fight that dreams are made of. But on the other side, it sounds like I'm just caping for Loma. Fam, I love TIOFIMO. TIOFIMO has everything that you are looking for in an up-and-coming prospect. And here's the thing. He's not really even a prospect anymore. He's a champion. He has the championship mindset. He is tough as they come. And he wants to be great. You can see it. You can feel it. He bleeds it out, man. He wants to be great. He wants the top spot. And he's one of those guys that we always talk about. Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, TIOFIMO LOPEZ, Ryan Garcia. Those are the 4 that a lot of people talk about. Obviously, we have Enos and a couple other people in that mix as well that you and I believe. But
these are the guys.
Larger popular. These are the guys. These are the people that are taking us into the next generation of boxing. And I cannot wait. We're going to find out so much. This is either going to be a coronation for one of them, or it's just going to be just the fuck we thought. So, with that being said, bro, prediction time. Prediction time. What do you think? How does this fight go down? Who wins?
I want to make sure I really emphasize exactly how good TIOFIMO LOPEZ is. I feel like I've been giving Lomachenko a dick flute solo, and that's not what TIOFIMO LOPEZ. I think his shining moment that really impressed me and showed me exactly how good of a fighter he is. He's had some highlight reel knockouts, with Richard Commey being one of them. But we both actually picked against TIOFIMO Lopez when he fought up against Richard Commey. Richard Commey was an established champion. He had fought some better fighters at the time. And I thought it would be too much for young TIOFIMO Lopez. Now, TIOFIMO Lopez put Richard Commey on a highlight reel. Great. He showed up. He impressed. Proved me wrong. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. But a lot of the casuals will tell you, will show you the knockout for why TIOFIMO Lopez is good. Here's why he's good. Because of his IQ. Richard Commey came out the first round, and he was countering Lopez's counter jab with his right. Yes. Every time he threw that power jab where he stepped with it, he would counter it with the right. So round 2, he saw that. He did it maybe 3-4 times in round 1. Round 2 came, he now set him up. He put that jab out there. By the time he went to counter it, a right hand was waiting for him. And he set that punch up. So an adjustment, he set a punch up and obviously got the highlight reel knockout. It's the adjustment. That's what wins fights. And that's what impresses me, because it shows me he's learning on the fly. The issue, and why I'm going to give you my pick, is going to be Vasily Lomachenko, is because he puts so much mental pressure on you. And so with a guy like Richard Commey, who's going to sit in the outside, he can jab you and plan his attack. Vasily Lomachenko is always going to be on top of you. So it's very difficult to think about mounting your own offense when a guy's on top of you. He's hitting you. He's throwing punches from all angles, not just all different kinds of punches, but literally all angles. He's on your left. He's on your right. His feet are constantly moving. So you're thinking about trying to set up your own offense while constantly defending against a barrage of punches. It's very, very difficult.
Yo, but it's so funny that you say we're talking about how amazing his footwork is and his IQ. And he's going up against arguably the guy with the highest fight IQ in the world. Somebody who has close to 400 career fights. We're talking about somebody who, let's just keep it a bean, the best footwork that I've ever seen in my life. This dude, yo, there's a reason his daddy took him out of boxing for a few years when he was growing up, and made him take traditional Ukrainian dance. Yo, what is traditional Ukrainian dance? Fam, that's when them dudes be doing this and they be kicking their feet up and jumping up and down. Yo,
I really hope that's Ukrainian and you're not just saying that shit.
No, it is. I looked it up beforehand. I had to, because I didn't want to mess that up. But so they have all these things, and these are two super high IQ dudes, man. But come on, man, let's don't let the people wait any longer, bro. How does this go down?
Oh, I told you. I said it's going to be hard to have those same thoughts against Lomachenko. He's not going to have the time to do that. And while he's trying to think, Lomachenko is going to be hitting him. And while I absolutely give power and fuck it, we'll say speed too, I will give those advantages to TIOFIMO Lopez. I am going to cede. Lomachenko has the better boxing IQ. I'm going to give that to him until I'm proven otherwise. And I'm going to rock with Lomachenko, because I will not pick against Lomachenko until he forces me to pick against him. But until then, I feel like it's right now. I'm not going to say it's like picking against Floyd, but I'm just not picking against Lomachenko. I think he wins, and I think he gets him out of there in like the 10th or 11th round.
So check it out. I'm going to be very honest, man. Lomachenko's going against something that in his professional career he probably hasn't seen. He's going against a guy that's explosive. He's going against a guy that has more power than anybody he's ever been in there with. He's going in there with a guy who's hungry, who's young, who wants it, who arguably wants it more than him because he's never tasted being at the top. Man, Loma's going to whoop his ass. Loma going to beat that man. And I think he's going to finish him. Look, I really do, man. I think TIOFIMO is great. And him being finished realistically is not a knock on TIOFIMO. Fam, you said something. And the way I look at it is this, and that's something that you said was it's not like Floyd. No, dog, it is. The same way I wouldn't pick against Floyd. I'm not picking against Lomachenko. I put them in the same category. That level of greatness. He's great. All-time level great. And again, the only thing that will beat him is if he continues moving up too much in size. But look, too much footwork, too much smarts. I honestly think this fight will end up being stopped. Like you said, I'm just like, 10 between 8 and 10. I see this fight being finished by Lomachenko. And you know how I think it's gonna be done? Throw that towel in.
Oh no, his father's not
Lomachenko. No,
no,
Mashchenko.
Nope. I will bet you money. His father is not throwing the towel in. I don't see
his father's gonna be forced to throw the towel in, man. Because look, especially
no.
the way
It'll be the ref. It'll be the ref.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll find out. We'll see.
With how he believes about his son and how strong, like he's not going to throw the towel.
He has crazy belief in his son.
Because he's seen that power. He's seen it come through before. He's always going to think his son has a chance. I think it'll be the referee way before it's his father.
I can see it. I can see it. But regardless, it's going to be one of two things. It's going to be. I think they're going to throw the towel in, or my man ain't going to answer the bell. He's just going to be so frustrated. And that's what he does. He's gonna put him in a spin cycle. He's gonna put him in the matrix. And I got Lomachenko winning this bout. But there's more fights that we have to talk about.
Hey man,
this
let's
ain't
go.
The only fight that we got to talk about. What we have to talk about also a fight that we must discuss. Also a fight that has implications roughly around the same weight class. We have to talk about Tank Davis. Tank Davis is fighting Leo Santa Cruz. This is definitely the most difficult fight of, I'll say, Tank Davis's career. This is someone who has a legitimate champion. Someone who is.
This is Halloween.
Yes, this is Halloween, not this weekend. This is coming up. But I wanted to break this down. I said it was coming up this weekend earlier, but it is on Halloween. Just like, and I know I'm gonna throw this little MMA in there. Anderson Silva's coming back Halloween Day, fighting against Uriah Hall, New York's very own Uriah Hall. Halloween Day should be incredible. I cannot wait. So some amazing fights that are going to be happening on Halloween, but this is a fight that I really had to talk about. Look, man, we've seen the promos, we've seen the workouts. Do you trust Tank Davis to make weight and legitimately? Because he said he's trained hard in the past. Do you believe he's legitimately going to train hard?
Yes. And I wanted to make sure I jumped on top of that quickly. Yes, I think Tank is going to be prepared. Tank, and I've sat up here and tore Gervonta Davis down. I mean, he has fucked up his fair share of times, whether it's not making weight, whether it's abusing his girlfriend outside of the ring. He has shown that he has Adrian Bronner tendencies. He could be our next Adrian Bronner very, very easily. However, I've seen Tank train away from Baltimore once. He trained in Florida, and that's when he was training with Kevin Cunningham.
Yes.
And that is the best version of Tank Davis that I have ever seen. That's the fight. I think it was against Jesus Suelar. It was after he fought on the Floyd McGregor undercard, and he kind of embarrassed himself. So it was his first fight back, and I've never, ever seen Tank look that sharp. If you listen to other professionals, if you listen to other professionals talk about Tank Davis, they all will tell you from when he was young, Tank got it. He's a very, very talented professional. Now, I say that because Tank is training away from home. He's training in Las Vegas at the Mayweather gym. He's also taken on a much longer training camp because he missed weight at 135. This fight is going to be contested at 130 pounds. But I absolutely think Tank is focused, and maybe I'll be made a fool of again. I mean, fuck it. I'll take that. But I'm going to trust Tank to make weight and train hard.
So I hear what you're saying. I do. I really do. A couple things about Tank Davis. I think Tank Davis is extremely talented. I think he has everything. He has power. He has speed. His ring generalship, his ring IQ even seems like it might be there. You know how I feel about this. If you consistently miss weight, I don't fuck with you. You have one job. Your job ain't to go out there and fight. Yes, you have to win beforehand, but your job is to make weight. That is your job. That is your one real responsibility. And he is consistently proving to me that he can't do that. You fool me once, shame on me. You fool me 17 times, fam. What the fuck? So when I see these things and I hear them and I look at it, and I'm gonna keep it also a beam, fam. Any man that puts his hands on a woman like that in public, especially just in general, just ain't no dude should be putting their hands on women. Period. But if you go out there and do that shit in public, come on, man. You gotta protect our black queens. That's some bullshit. So this man's going out here. He's a nut job, man. I don't respect him. I don't respect him because of how he's handled that situation with his lady, and he's done that multiple times. I don't trust him to make weight because I've seen this before. I've said it before. Oh, I trust him. I think he's gonna do it, and he made me look like a fool. I don't respect that. So, nah, man. Do I think he's gonna make weight? Do I think he's gonna train hard and actually respect his opponent? Nah.
I'm laughing because none of what you said is funny, and I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you said. But he's just so good. I want it to work so badly. I want it to work for Tank so badly. I want it for him to get it together. And I always hope that, hey, you're gonna grow up a little bit. But Tank is from the hood, and he be doing hood nigga shit. Like no. Wait. What I'm saying is like niggas gonna nick at the end of the day, and Tank is kind of an example of that. Like I'm not saying he's like niggas gonna nick, and he just him AB like they're always going to have their fair share of nigga moments. I just don't think. I don't think the moment. The Charlo
professional. Look at him. He's always in shape. Stay in shape.
But I mean, we're not shape. If you want to compare someone, we'd have to compare him to someone that had some rocky times and was able to get it together. I would point to really a counterpart of his in Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson, if you may not remember, back in 2018, he was in Miami getting to fights on camera. That's not a good look. Though. But he has but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's different. He has the right people around him. Okay. He has Terrence Crawford. He has Andre Ward, and he is heeding their words. You can tell he's changed. He's cleaned it up. He lives a very clean life. He lives the life of a fighter. And yeah, like his moments, maybe they're very small, but he keeps it under control. He knows the opportunity that he has. Whereas Tank, he treats it like it can't be gone tomorrow, and it's frustrating. But I'm still with him. I'm stupid. I'm a Knicks fan.
Tank.
It is what it is.
Look, man. Tank, I believe, takes it for granted. He takes this for granted. He believes that it's always going to be there for him. It's I would actually compare Tank Davis to a John Jones. You have all the talent in the world, but at the end of the day, between the ears, isn't there. So I look at it. I think honestly, that's like the best comparison. You have all the skill set, but you're a fuck boy. And that is why I just don't respect what he's done. Now, I am all about redemption. Can he change my mind in the future? Probably. But the image of him hemming up his lady at All-Star Weekend or whatever that was, man, I can't get that out of my head. I can't. And I want to. But at the end of the day, man, dude, we absolutely have to protect black women. We have to protect all women, man, but especially our black women. Like, how are we going to do that to one of our queens, fam? Like, that's crazy to me that he went out there and did that, man, and then try to make it seem like it wasn't even that big of a deal. Fam, it's a huge deal. So,
bro, I hear
question, you. Do I trust Tank? To answer that question, I do not. I don't trust Tank. No.
It's been a lot of flawed men outside the boxing ring. Floyd. Like, I mean, like it won't be the first. So while his character isn't the best, like his skill is something different.
But let me ask you this. Isn't it a point in time where, especially in combat sports, right? Isn't it a point in time where people have to start looking at these people? Don't we have to carry ourselves differently at this point in time? It's crazy. Why is it that just because we're fighters, we got to be these savages? We can't have any sense? We can't be role models? Why is that? Why do we allow that? Because they're fighters? No, fuck that. Hold these dudes accountable just like we hold everybody else accountable. Force them to be better. If we sit there and continue to sit back and allow them to be these assholes, they're going to keep doing it. And then that's going to continue perpetuating how these young boys coming up are doing it. We need to go out there and actually show the Andre Wards and what they've done and how they go out there and handle their business. Tim Bradley, as much as when he was a fighter, I didn't love him. But at the end of the day, man, that dude is a role model. Like, I get sick and tired of sitting here and giving dudes mulligans. Oh, but they fighters is cool. Fuck that, man. I ain't giving you a mulligan for being a fighter. You have a platform. That means, for me at least, that means you have a responsibility. And why are we allowing? That's crazy.
So for one, I hear you. I hear you 1,500%. Sure, I do. Now, there's two things I'm going to say. I think the other side of that argument is that in a certain sense, I'm very privileged. In a certain sense, I think you're very privileged. You know, we got to grow up a certain way. Both of us went to college. Both of us pledged a fraternity. So, I mean, we've had experiences. We've gotten access to knowledge that not everyone has had. You may be a totally different person if your life had followed the path that Tank's life has. Now, is that an excuse for him? Absolutely not. I won't make excuse for anyone that puts their hands on women. However, it does help you understand how people like this, how things like this happen. So with that being said, you know, while I don't agree with things that he has done, I can't necessarily vouch for his character. I'm here to talk about what he's doing in the ring.
I understand. No, and you know what? That is completely fair. And I will never, like, we're talking X's and O's, and that's why I say X's and O's, he's incredible. He's incredible, especially when he's on his game. I would just like to see more. But speaking of somebody who is a role model and somebody who he's actually competing against, fam, let's go ahead and talk about this prediction time. He is fighting Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz is somebody who's only faced one loss in his career. He came back and avenged that loss in dominating fashion. This dude is a savvy veteran. He is a champion. Leo Santa Cruz is a dog, but he's going in there with a heavy-handed monster in Tank Davis. Prediction time, brother. Who do you have? How do you get this done? Are you going with the favorite Tank Davis, or are you going with the dog in Leo?
So Leo Santa Cruz has established his name at 126. He was a champion at 126. Those are where his classic fights, his wars have happened at 126 pounds.
Yes.
Tank Davis most recently fought at 135 pounds. Now, Tank Davis, his power at 135 pounds really isn't proven. You know, he couldn't get Yuriorkis Gamboa out of there until the 12th round.
And my man's jaw is made out of cardboard.
Now, what we do know is that at 130 pounds, Tank is a motherfucking killer.
Monster.
He is a killer. And as focused as Tank is, I don't think Leo Santa Cruz, who's going to be moving up, well, who's essentially moving up a weight class. I think this will be his second fight at 130 pounds, but Tank will be the bigger man in that ring. Tank is a power puncher. Now, Leo Santa Cruz does have the ability to go backwards. However, he will be trying to put Tank pressure on Tank Davis to take him late. This is what he said in all of his interviews leading up to the fight. And the fact that he's going to be close to him means that Tank is going to have tons of opportunities to use that power to get Santa Cruz out of there. And at 130 pounds, Tank is going to knock him out within 6. I'll say because it's at a bigger level, he'll get him out of there in 9. But Tank is going to get him out of there.
Okay. Yo, that is. I mean, it's probably the right pick. It is. I love that. He's a monster. But there's something about Leo Santa Cruz. And here's the thing. I've been a big fan of his for a very long time. I watched all those fights when he fought at 26. I think Leo Santa Cruz is going to win. I think that Tank Davis is not taking Leo seriously. I think he believes just like you are. This dude's fought his whole career down here. He's not going to be able to take my power. I'm going to be able to go out there and knock his face off. I think Leo Santa Cruz has a higher fight IQ. I think he has more experience. And I think with that, he's going to be able to utilize his amazing footwork and his very savvy game to win a decision. I think he's going to go out there and shock the world. I am going with the underdog, Leo Santa Cruz. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that because of my disdain, I guess you can say, for Tank Davis. I legitimately think that Leo has what it takes to win that fight.
Now, Santa Cruz's plan is to take Gervonta later into the fight. He feels as though he gasses late. You don't trust Tank to train. Do you think that game plan will be effective?
I do. I do think it will be effective. I think game plans like that, he's going to try to take him into deep water. Tank, I mean, those guys that have that much power, a lot of times they put so much into all their shots. And that is why a lot of times these big power punchers tend to go out there and fold when the fight goes on. Tank Davis, a lot of them call him a mini Mike Tyson. Well, something about Mike Tyson that you and I have discussed also is this. What Hall of Famer in his prime did Mike Tyson ever beat? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Hall of Famer in his prime? Man.
None. Every time Mike Tyson faced somebody that stood up to the bully, what happened to Mike Tyson?
Buster Douglas?
Say it.
Buster Douglas?
He took an L. Evander Holyfield, Buster Douglas, and everybody else who whooped his ass, that is what happened. We have not seen somebody stand up to the bully yet. Leo Santa Cruz is that guy. He's going to stand up to the bully. And I'm telling you now, with that type of game plan, that is how you beat somebody like it. You take the fight to him, and you prove to him that I'm not afraid of you. I'm like on some Home Alone. I'm not afraid anymore. That's just out there on that shit. Put it to him.
Honestly, like breaking down both of these fights, I'm fucking tired of everybody saying I want to take him late. Like, come up with a new fight plan. Like everybody has used that 100 times. Like, give me something else. Tell me you want to counter his right. He's lazy on a break, something like that. Like,
why
leave
would
me
he
alone.
tell you his full game plan?
I mean, I'm just tired of hearing that.
I mean, that's the problem. You and I listen to a lot of fight shit. That's what they're going to tell you. They're going to give you these vanilla ass answers.
Just like
because at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit there and say, So what do you want? You want him to sit there and say, look, what I'm going to end up doing to him is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to make sure I'm working the inside. I'm going to try to make sure I turn him. I see this angle that this is where he faults at. No, he's not going to do that.
In a perfect world, that's what I'd like to hear. That is exactly what I'd like to hear. That is literally the definition of what I want to hear.
Yeah,
so I mean,
but it's not real. It's not realistic. Let's just keep it a bean. It's not realistic. That's what we're gonna get out of fighters. You're gonna get one fighter that's gonna go out there and say, "I'm gonna knock him out." The other dude say, "I'm gonna drag him to deep waters." Or you get somebody like Khabib and says, "I'm going to take him to the deepest ocean and drown him."
Now, one thing I'll say this. This is changing gears a little bit.
No worries at all.
One thing that Al Heyman would do is get his fighters paid. This fight was originally slated for October 24th. There's all types of fights moving around on the calendar. You have this fight moving to October 31st on Halloween. You have the November 21st fight between Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, moving from its November 21st to December 5th. Al Heyman gets his fighters paid. His fighters love him. Sergio, you my mans, G, but I'm not naming my firstborn son after you. Leo Santa Cruz named his firstborn son after Al Heyman.
Is Al Santa Cruz?
Yes, he named his firstborn son after Al. I heard him say it. I heard it out his mouth. Now I say that to say we talk about there's a lot of fights moving. I'm gonna hit you with this segue real quick. The biggest fight of them all, Wilder Fury 3, was slated for December 19th. Then they decide, hey, we see Al Heyman. Yes, sir. I got you. I got you this time.
Oh,
It's-
well, real quick before you get into that, let me do this real fast. For people who are listening, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury's trilogy fight was supposed to happen at the end of this year. That fight is now off. They said that it was an expiration date, no more, and there's a lot of ramifications coming for that. But I'm sorry, brother. Continue.
Well, so what I was talking about is there's a ton of fights moving around, no bigger than this fight with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Now,
Yes.
going back to the history, I guess it was originally December 1st, 2018, when these fighters originally fought, fighting to a draw, a 12-round draw, and so they fought again 2020, February 22nd, in where Tyson Fury knocked Deontay Wilder out in what I believe was the 7th round. Now, they had a rematch clause in their contract. Really, before the fight, this was probably the most publicized rematch clause I've ever heard about. The fact that there was going to be 2 fights. No matter what, there was going to be 2 fights. It was essentially both of the fights were scheduled already. The initial fight was supposed to be until July 31st. Yes. Most contracts have a force majeure in it that's going to accommodate for things like COVID. I also think Deontay Wilder was hurt and needed surgery. The fight gets pushed out. Now we're talking about November. The fight then, as we start to approach November, the fight gets pushed out. Now we're speaking about December 19th, and the Gypsy King, the lineal champion, he wants to move on with his career. I'm tired of all these date changes. I want to fight. Fuck Deontay Wilder. I'm doing my homecoming fight because I'm the champ and I do what I want. And I'm sure there's some type of loophole in the contract with all of those date changes that allow him to be able to do that. Yeah. So instead,
the top rank said that the fight expired. So it expired. So that's what ended up happening.
And so instead, Tyson Fury is able to target a December 5th date for a homecoming fight in London.
I love it. Look, so man, I'm excited about this. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What are you going to say? Finish your thought.
My bad. I just kind of I had to give some context. There's a lot going on there. Now, my thoughts on this is that this is a saving grace for Deontay Wilder. It is so good for Deontay Wilder because we discussed that he recently fired Mark Breland. His corner is going to.
You and I discussed that, but we didn't tell people yet. So I was actually going to talk about that in a moment. But
we can't exactly.
And I'm going to tell you my thoughts on that soon.
We can't just act like they don't know. So that's like WWE. Sometimes they don't just acknowledge people their history. Like people know.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that he fired Mark Breland. That is relatively new news.
So before Deontay Wilder fired Mark Breland, we spoke about the fight. We said, hey, Deontay Wilder should go somewhere else first. He got the shit beat out of him. He needs to go rebuild his confidence, learn a few new things before he comes back and faces Tyson Fury again, or it's just going to look the same way. Deontay Wilder said, no, I want to go directly into a rematch. And then he fired Mark Breland, who is essentially the fighter in his corner. Mark Breland, I believe it's he's a medalist. He was on the 1984 Olympic team. He is a boxer. He's the one who threw in the towel for Deontay Wilder.
Gold medal, former 147-pound world champion, WBC. Dude is an animal.
That caused a rift between him and Deontay Wilder, and so Deontay Wilder ended up firing him. Going into a fight like this where you got broken down like that with a whole new corner, you need to rebuild yourself just a little bit. Maybe you don't need a full rebuild, but you need to rebuild yourself. And so this, while it seems like Tyson Fury may be ducking, whatever the case may be, I think for Deontay Wilder, this is the best possible thing that could have happened to him because because he was going to get back in that ring with Tyson Fury and get destroyed again. And that was going to change him. Now he has a chance to rebuild himself, and he also gets to rebuild that hunger. He's going to have to work for this fight, but the fight will be on the table for him. And I think this is huge for Deontay Wilder. He won't see it now, but I think down the line we'll all see that this was important.
Okay. All right. Look, in terms of the fight, I agree with you. I think that this fight is a blessing that this fight isn't happening. But I'm also going to say this. You know how much I have love for Deontay Wilder. I have a lot of respect for Deontay Wilder, and I think Deontay Wilder does not get the respect that he deserves. With all that being said, he's a fucking clown. The fact that he went out here and he fired Mark Breland and he kept that shitty yes man that he has, I don't even know that fool's name. What's that? The other
J,
guy that he has it.
J Diaz.
Jay Diaz or whatever is a clown. Jay Diaz doesn't know anything. He goes out there and is just a Deontay Wilder yes man. What you want, again, we're talking about people who have one job to do. As a trainer, your one job is to protect your fighter at all times, and he did that. He stopped you from arguably
He's
dying.
also the head trainer.
He is who? Jay Diaz? Or Mark Breland?
Yes.
Yeah, which
Jay Diaz
makes
has always
no
been
sense.
head trainer.
Jay Diaz was the head trainer, and he never talked. He sat in the back and let Breland do all the work. Dude, the dude is a clown. The fact that he went out there and you're giving this dude all the base because he did his job. And then Deontay Wilder, I've always defended Deontay Wilder's, his skill set. Where do you think he got the 1-2 from? His biggest weapon. That is a Mark Breland weapon. That is what Mark Breland was good at. That's what Mark Breland made popular and made it look really good in the 84 Olympics. That is what he has always done. So you're going to go out there and take away the dude who taught you your main weapons and you're going to give it to Jay Diaz, who has no accolades, who does nothing. It is a shame that he's doing this, and I'm telling you right now, Deontay Wilder will never, ever, would never, ever beat Tyson Fury if that is the corner that he chooses to go in there with, and he does not humble himself enough to go out there and actually get a better trainer so that somebody can actually hold him accountable for his shit. Because he went out there with a terrible game plan last time and got his ass whooped. It is a travesty that he went out there and did that. And I'm so happy that you have all these other fighters in the game shitting on him for this decision. I am so disappointed in Deontay Wilder. It's a blessing. Tyson Fury, you should be kissing Tyson Fury's feet that he didn't take this fight just to beat your ass. I don't got nothing to say about it.
Chair squeaks.
I ain't got nothing to say about it.
Listen, all Sergio's anger aside, I think that regardless, there's going to be changes in his corner. Former boxer Malik Scott is going to take a bigger role in the corner. And so there's going to be changes. Maybe it'll be for the better. Maybe it'll be for the worse. We don't know. Sergio obviously thinks it'll be for the worse. That is fine. But what we do know is there will be changes. And I think Wilder just needs a little bit to get used to those changes. It's not as drastic as a fighter going with a new trainer. JD is still going to be the head trainer, but it's going to be new. It's going to be new. It's going to be different. And I think he needs a couple fights to adjust. And I think the fight will only get bigger because the heavyweight division is going to get a ton of attention with Tyson, with AJ Fury, maybe, one more super fight, couple Andy Ruiz fights, which will get attention as well. And then you have Wilder, who's going to have worked his way back into the fold. So this is great for Wilder. I don't know about kissing his feet, but fuck it, damn near.
No, dude, and that's just it. We'll see. I have that little amount of confidence in Wilder's corner. And at the end of the day, I also, to be a champion, to be a legend, you have to be able to, the best of the best, have people that they listen to. The best of the best are coachable. He's proving that he's not coachable. And that's very, very disappointing because when I think about an athlete that, and this is very different because this man is coming up, and again, we can talk about this very quickly coming up, and I'm going to ask you if you check this out, but Roy Jones Jr., the moment that his athleticism dwindled a tad, the world caught up to him. What's going to happen with Deontay Wilder when everyone else, he's not as explosive as he once was? What's going to happen with Deontay Wilder when his hand speed isn't what it once was? I hope, as a fan of his, I really hope that he goes out there and actually gets somebody. So I hope that he gets a corner that he respects enough to listen to. If he does that, well, then all bets are off and then I'm back on the bandwagon. But he needs to go out there. He needs to humble himself, man. It's a shame.
Now, I don't I agree with what you're saying. I don't think he should have fired Mark Breland, but I don't think you're giving any attention to the other side of the argument. The other side of the argument is that Jay Diaz is the head trainer. The head trainer is typically the only person in a corner who has the power to throw in the towel. That's a terrible argument. Deontay Wilder has also made it very, very clear to never throw in the towel. Listen, you said your side of the argument, and this isn't even. I'm not even necessarily saying that I believe this is just the other side of the argument. You work for me. You're my assistant trainer. You do not have the power to throw in the towel. You are also under, even though you don't have power to throw in the towel, you are under very specific instructions from me, the person you work for, to never throw in the towel. Yeah. All that being said, I mean, that's going to cause a rift between him and Deontay Wilder. And at the end of the day, it just seemed as though that couldn't be repaired. And while you can take whatever side of the argument that you want, both sides exist. They can shoot.
I absolutely get it. I think Deontay Wilder is going to go back in 5, 10, 15 years. He'll thank Mark Breland for what he did. It's a shame that he's proving that how big his ego is, and he's not checking his own ego. I'm not with that notion of, dude, your job is to protect the fighter. I don't care what that man says. That means you don't no. My job is to do the best for my fighter, prepare you the best I can, and protect you if things aren't going your way, because guess what? We live to fight another day. That nonsense ideal that, I'm here to, I'm an animal. I do this, dude. That meathead bullshit's over with, fam. Like nah. Like, he's here to see, he's here to protect you. I do not stand for that at all. That's ridiculous, especially in a year. Last year, how many deaths yesterday was the anniversary of that young man's death last year. Patrick Day's anniversary. A couple weeks ago was Maximum Davishev's anniversary of his death in the ring. These are things that are currently happening. We see it happening.
And I'll piggyback onto what Sergio's saying, but this sets a bad precedent.
Terrible precedent. Precedent.
So Deontay Wilder is one of the biggest fighters, and for a trainer, you want to be with the biggest fighters because that's going to be the best opportunity for you to make money. And if Deontay Wilder is going to set a precedent that says, hey, if you're going to do your job by protecting the fighter, even though you understand there's a risk of this fighter losing his life in the ring, that I might get fired, they might be more reluctant to protect their fighter. And who knows what that can lead to. And we don't want to talk about it until it gets there. And that's never something we want to see.
And then here's the thing. Deontay Wilder, how selfish are you? Do you know what that would do to Breland and his family and Jay Diaz and his family if they sat there and allowed you to die? Hasn't even thought about how that would affect those men. That's terrible. Hasn't thought about how that would affect his family. That dude has like 7 kids. Really? Come on, fam.
Deontay Wilder, he says, kill me in the ring. That's how he wants to go.
That's stupid.
He said, kill me in the ring.
I don't know. No, that's ridiculous.
Those are his wishes. Those are not my wishes. I don't wish to see that. I don't wish that on him. I don't wish that on myself. But those are the man's wishes.
I get it.
He's paying everybody.
Okay.
He's a reason for the season. We here because of Deontay Wilder. So, I mean, there has to be.
I understand, man. I get it, man. Real quick, before we get out of here, man, what I want to do is this. I want to go ahead and also let's touch on quickly. We have Mike Tyson and Roy Jones are both on the Joe Rogan Experience recently.
Joe Rogan gets everything. He gets everything. He has all the fun.
He does have all the fun, man. He ends up getting those things, man. He's interesting. I know, like I said, I didn't see the whole interview. I saw some clips, but. With it, I wanted to say this. They both look in incredible shape. Holy shit. Both of those old dudes are jacked. With the fight coming up in a couple months, man, has your ideas on how this fight's going to turn out any different at this point in time?
A little. Not really. Yeah. I'm still picking Roy.
We're about to get out of here soon. So, let's make this one quick.
Here's the 2 reasons. Mike, when he first came back, I thought that was it. He looked kind of good, especially for a 50-year-old dude. But nigga, that was mid-transformation. he's still going. He's still getting more shredded. He's still getting bigger. And now I'm like, huh? And then you get Roy Jones getting on Joe Rogan. And while I have not listened myself, he was saying, hey, you know, at first I was like 6 weeks, I could smoke Mike Tyson. Now I have to take it a little bit more seriously. Yeah. Mike Tyson has always taken this pretty seriously. And I think the fact that Roy Jones didn't take it as seriously at first, maybe he didn't have the proper respect for a guy like Mike Tyson. I still don't think it'll be what we all want to make it seem. But I mean, to me, that gives Mike a little bit more of a chance. I'm still rolling with Roy, but maybe we've seen crazier things. Actually, we have not. We haven't seen crazier things.
Well, look, we'll see. My mind to this point still has not changed. But again, the closer we get, we will see what happens. But with that being said, brother, that is about all the time we have for today. That is all of the topics. I have no more topics left. Bro, thank you as always for joining me on the show, man. Where can people find you?
Hey, get me back to talk about Khabib, man. But people can find me on Instagram, bcam13, that is with 2 M's, and on Twitter at bcamthinks, that is 1 M. Sergio, my guy, thank you for having me. As always, I will be back soon.
Absolutely, man. Well, as always, man, I appreciate you, man. And in fact, hey, we're just going to close out here. This has been the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe, the Fight Podcast. I'm your host, the Underground King, Serg Vicente. Thank you to my guest, my man on this side, B-Cam, brother. Thank you as always for joining me, man. If you guys have not had an opportunity, check out on YouTube right now. We have an amazing conversation with Lisa Beasley, man. She is an incredible creator, entrepreneur, comedian, actor. Amazing convo that we had. Please check that out. That's already on our YouTube page. That is episode 235. And we're going to keep the party going, man. Tomorrow, if you guys get an opportunity, we have a new show coming out called Coffee, what the heck is it? Fights and Coffee, something. I made up the name. I put a post up already. We'll tell you guys. But we'll be back tomorrow morning, man. Talk about all the fights this weekend. With that being said, love you guys. We'll see you next time right here on the Fight Podcast. Peace out.